to a lot of youth in different cities that you stopped at. What's your take, because I think you've been early on this, on, 21 Savage had the streets movement that he kind of has been promoting these last...
I don't even fuck like that. I am the streets, I love the streets, I come from the streets. I don't even know that pussy ass.
Bitch ass up. Stop saying my motherfucking name. Don't think cause a nigga trying.
Yeah, you just heard 21 Savage clap back after getting called out by the so-called Great Slime himself. And let's be clear, this situation is nowhere near cooling down. If anything, it's heating up fast. The tension is rising, the internet is buzzing, and we're about to break down exactly how this whole thing sparked and why it keeps getting more intense by the day. No filler, no fluff. Online chatter is already saying this could get real ugly if it keeps escalating. So how did all of this actually start? Because trust me, this story has layers. Let's rewind and connect the dots the right way. To understand why this feels so heavy, you've got to look at what 21 Savage has been doing lately. He's been traveling from city to city, talking to young people, pushing a message about staying away from street life and choosing a smarter path forward. On the surface, that sounds solid, and most people respect anyone trying to steer the next generation in a better direction. But here's where it gets complicated. When you come from East Atlanta Zone 6 with real street history and start telling others to step away from that life, not everyone is going to receive that message well. Some feel conflicted, others feel challenged, and that's where the friction starts. It raises the big question people keep asking: who gets to tell someone else how to live? That's why this situation feels so tense right now. But here's the part critics usually skip. 21 isn't just talking to hear himself speak. He actually lived that life. No exaggeration, no made-up stories. When he turned 21, everything went left in a serious way. He survived getting shot multiple times, and someone close to him lost their life that same night. That moment changed everything. That's where the name 21 Savage comes from. It's not branding, it's remembrance. That history matters when he speaks on the streets. He's talking from real pain, real loss, and real experience. Go back to 2013, when he was still deep in street activity, and the losses kept piling up. He lost his brother, Quantavius, known as Tay-Man, to gun violence. Later, he lost his close friend, Larry. These weren't just names, these were day ones, people he loved like family. Losing that many people back to back will change how anyone sees the world. In his early music like No Heart and X, he spoke openly about street life because that was his reality at the time. But as the money came in, the fame grew and the losses didn't stop. Something clicked. He started realizing the influence he had, especially over younger fans watching his every move. His anti-street message wasn't random. It built over years and really took shape once he started putting real work into the Atlanta community. First came the 21 Savage bank account campaign, teaching financial literacy to kids from the neighborhood, breaking down how money works and how to plan ahead. Then he launched the Leading by Example Foundation, focused on uplifting youth from underserved communities and giving them real opportunities. Things really shifted when he stopped moving in silence. He started speaking louder in interviews and on social media, pushing the message directly, no sugarcoating. He told them straight up that gang life isn't the answer, and loyalty to blocks and sets doesn't mean much when survival and growth are on the line. Now, how that message lands depends on where you're standing. In Atlanta, most people respected it. They saw his journey, knew what he survived, and felt he earned the right to speak. But once he took that same message to places like Chicago, Louisiana, and California, the reaction wasn't as smooth. Older heads respected it, but younger dudes still active felt brushed off, like their struggle was being dismissed. That's when the tension really started bubbling. Online, emotions ran hot, words got twisted, and intentions got lost. And here's something people forget. 21 and YoungBoy actually had history before all this. They were cool, mutual respect, mutual love. Back in 2018, 2019, and 2020, there was zero tension, no sneak shots, no weird energy, just two major names coexisting at the top. But then another layer comes in. When the Lil Durk and YoungBoy situation started heating up, 21 was seen leaning toward Durk's side. That alone planted quiet tension. And that beef isn't just rap drama, it's real, serious, and tied to real-life consequences. When King Von was killed in Atlanta, everything escalated instantly. That moment made everything heavier and more personal. With 21 being from Atlanta and close to Dirk, it put him in a tricky spot. He never directly dissed YB, but people noticed the subtle signs. Being around Dirk, light support online. To some, that looked like choosing a side. So now there's background tension. Then 21 starts publicly pushing the leave the streets behind message to someone like YB who's still deep in the middle of it all. From YB's perspective, that message could feel sideways, almost like mixed signals. And to be fair, YoungBoy's side matters too. He's only 25, but he's lived through more chaos than most people ever will. Shootouts, jail time, lost friends, serious legal pressure. For him, the streets aren't something you just turn off. He's still dealing with open cases, real threats, and real loyalty. So hearing "leave the streets" can feel dismissive, even if that wasn't the intention.
YoungBoy has never been known to soften his stance. He's raw, direct, and unapologetic, and that's why his fans ride so hard. So when he was asked about 21's anti-street message in a recent interview, the tension was already there. The interviewer framed it as 21 trying to guide the youth, and that's when things took a sharp turn. YoungBoy shut it down completely. He made it clear he didn't connect with that message at all. He said he is the streets and stands firmly in that life. That wasn't just disagreement, it felt personal. And when he added that someone else is pushing their narrative while he's pushing his, that line sent everything into overdrive. Once that interview hit the internet, chaos followed. Social media picked sides instantly. Some said YoungBoy was speaking his truth. Others backed 21, saying he's trying to save lives. Twitter went crazy. YoungBoy fans called 21 fake woke. 21 fans said YoungBoy was refusing growth. And just when things couldn't get messier, that's when 21 Savage responded. He didn't name names, but everybody knew exactly what time it was. He jumped online, clearly frustrated, telling people to stop using his name and assuming they know his path just because he chose growth. He laid down rules. If you're still moving reckless, don't lecture him. If you're grown and still chasing teenage dreams, don't question his journey. Then he reminded everyone that choosing peace doesn't erase his past. The Savage name isn't a costume, it's history. That wasn't bragging, that was a warning. Don't confuse growth with weakness. Don't keep poking someone who's choosing peace. Then he went even further, calling out people who talk loud about street life but haven't lived through real loss. He said it straight, y'all ain't cried enough, y'all ain't lost enough.
That line hit hard. This wasn't entertainment, it was lived experience. And when he closed it with, y'all better stick to rapping, the message was clear. Not hype, not a flex, a boundary. And that's exactly why this situation feels far from over. Some people really need to stay in their lane and stick to making music, because when it comes to real street politics, real loss, and real life, a lot of folks simply aren't qualified to speak on it. Then things got even wilder. 21 started calling out people claiming they're street but haven't been active in decades. He joked, "Y'all be gangsters on Area 59, throwing shade at internet tough guys and keyboard warriors, folks talking big from behind screens, but nowhere near the blocks. Some haven't touched the streets in 30 years, and yeah, that was a direct call-out. But it goes deeper. 21 brought up the geography factor, saying, how the F you gonna tell a nigga from another state what they about? And he's got a point. Cross-city lectures rarely end well. 21 is Atlanta, YB is Baton Rouge. Different codes, different politics, different streets, but violence, death, and heartbreak are universal. 21's argument? Trying to break the cycle goes beyond city lines, and if you haven't lived it, you don't get to lecture him. Zoom out for the bigger picture. This isn't just two rappers clashing, it's a snapshot of hip-hop culture itself. The tension between staying 100% real and evolving as a person is very real. Hip-hop values authenticity, so in 21, one of the realest street rappers pushes a message that seems to clash with his image. People get confused. Is he still real? Is it PR? Is he being hypocritical or genuinely trying to grow and guide the youth? That split is what makes this clash so magnetic. Meanwhile, artists like YB refuse to soften anything. He stays raw, unfiltered, loyal to the streets, no matter the fame. That's real too, but it throws 21's choices into sharp contrast. Critics question it all. He still raps about the streets, keeps ties with active people, and even leaned into the Dirk-YB beef. And that only keeps the debate and this tension burning hotter. But here's 21's side of it, straight from his rant. I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to save the streets. That's really the heart of it. He's not erasing his past. He's trying to break the cycle and steer the next generation in a different direction, even if everybody doesn't want to hear it. He's been clear. I'm trying to stop all this chaos. This isn't necessary. I'm trying to be part of the solution. The key word there is trying. He's not claiming perfection. He's not fully detached from the streets. He's working through it. And that honesty hits because real change doesn't happen overnight, and not everyone views it the same. Some people want it clean and simple. Either you're street or you're not, black or white, no gray area. And that mindset is exactly what fuels the clash with fans and other rappers. Here's the part that really matters though. While 21 and YB trade shots and social media goes crazy, real-life consequences don't stop. Kids in the hood are still at risk. People are still dying. That gets lost in the noise way too often. At its core, 21's movement isn't about clout or ego, it's about saving lives and offering a real alternative to a path that statistically ends in prison or an early grave. When he says "fuck the streets," he's speaking against a system that keeps funneling young black and brown kids into violence. That urgency is real. That's why this beef hits different when you zoom out and see what's actually at stake. But let's be fair, YB isn't wrong either. It's a lot easier to tell people to leave the streets when you've already made it out. Millions in the bank, security around you, options everywhere. For people still trapped with no clear exit, the streets aren't a choice, they're survival. That's why YB says, "I am the streets. I love the streets." He's not celebrating death or destruction, he's showing loyalty to where he comes from and the people still stuck in it. That's respect for the struggle. The frustrating part? There should be a middle ground. 21 could admit his message can sound preachy to those still in the trenches. YB could acknowledge that the cycle isn't sustainable forever. But in today's hip-hop climate, nuance disappears. Everything turns into sides. No gray area, no coexistence, and that's exactly why this beef cuts so deep. Right now, everything feels like a pause. 21 says peace, YB says peace. The streets are watching, social media is watching. Everyone's waiting to see, does this cool off, or does it explode? And the stakes are way bigger than Twitter arguments. Hip-hop history shows us that verbal tension can turn real fast. The irony? A beef rooted in trying to reduce street violence could end up creating more of it. Still, there's room for hope. Neither one really benefits from taking this further. Too much money, too much reputation, too much to lose. Hip-hop needs both perspectives. It needs 21 Savage pushing growth and change, and it needs YB representing those still living that reality. But when those viewpoints collide and turn into beef instead of conversation, things get messy quick. Here's the bottom line. 21 stands firm on his message, regardless of who feels a way about it. YB makes it clear he's not changing and will keep standing on the streets in his own way. Time will tell if this blows up or if they manage to coexist despite clashing philosophies. But one thing is undeniable. This conversation matters. Both are speaking their truth. 21 from a place of survival and wanting to spare others that pain. YB for the people still grinding in the streets every day. Instead of arguing over who's right, maybe the real question is this: how do we take the best from both sides? How do we honor our roots while still pushing for something better? That's the conversation we really need.
So what do you think? Is 21 right for pushing the P the streets movement? Or is YB right that no one can tell another man how to live? Does this beef get uglier, or do they find a way to coexist? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, share this with your people, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Subscribe to Rap Uncovered. The streets never sleep, and neither do we. Tomorrow's upload, even crazier, deeper, and unmissable. We'll catch you right here where the truth of the streets lives. This beef, far from over. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, whether you ride with the streets or against them, the goal is the same. Make it out alive. Peace.